Yeah, we should have just done 33.
All right, guys. Podcast episode 34.
34?
Second one for the day. We've been kicking down 2 a day for you
What
because
time
you guys
is it?
are asking the questions, so we're taking the time to answer them. It's 5:03 p.m. Wednesday, February the 6th. We got some stuff here. So this is from podcast video 28, Pulling the Thread. So you guys, the way we're doing this is
We released the audio.
we release the audio, and then a couple days later we release the video of the audio that went out a few days earlier. On the weekends, because of Friday and then Monday, sometimes they get double released, or you guys spend time on the weekends going back and answering them. So we actually go back through the last few. Sometimes I get notifications when you comment, and sometimes I don't. But we try to go through and actually, if it's a real legit question, we try to interact with you and get these on here, which is basically the base of what this is and how we keep rolling these forward. We got other stuff. We were looking at the Amazon store today, and I was looking at the graphs, and on some days we have huge spikes, like 200-300% more than a normal day, which doesn't really mean a lot other than on a normal day, one guy uses our Amazon link, and on a high day, 4 guys. But whoever bought the ladder, thank you. For some reason, we got a much higher percentage. Usually we get 1% of what you guys buy. Somebody bought this telescopic folding ladder, and we actually got $25 off that purchase. It didn't cost you anything more. We just got $25 for it somehow.
That's weird.
I've actually looked at that ladder. It's like a fire escape ladder. But you know what it's great for is it sits down about this. It's great for getting on roof racks and shit when you have a lifted truck and stuff. They're nice for that. So if you like what we're doing, you want to help us out, fucking buy some product. More importantly, send a friend. If there's something in here that really strikes home, something in any of these podcasts or videos, just especially on the video, just take a note of the time, send it to a buddy and go, hey, listen to this. Refer some people to us. Help us spread the word on that we're doing these podcasts and podcast videos. To help support us, we have an Amazon store. Not a store. It's just a link on our website, soetacticalgear.com. It's an Amazon button. You click it, it takes you straight to Amazon. Anything you buy on Amazon in the next 48 hours, we get a little tiny piece of it. Looks just like Amazon to you. Smells just like Amazon. Tastes just like Amazon. We see what's ordered. We don't know who ordered it. So we're not going to know that you ordered like Dr. Pepper and dong bags. We're not going to know.
But how'd you know you ordered a ladder?
Well, I don't know who did it.
So you don't know who did it, but we'll know that you ordered the
We know that you're a pervert ordering 55 gallons of Astra lube and fucking, 12-inch
I wonder how much
dildos.
money. I wonder how much money you would get on a 55-gallon drum of Astra lube.
I don't know. A lot of times I go to Amazon first to buy shit because I can get it on Prime. But when you buy bulky shit or heavy shit, it's not on Prime. Like I try because I buy like fertilizer, liquid kelp fertilizer or something, or Garrett juice. That was one, or No Fuego or something. It's a fire ant thing, right? It's orange citrus. It's orange oil, which literally when you put it on ants, it fucking melts them like acid. And then it has molasses with it. So it actually melts the ants.
And attracts them.
No, the molasses works great for fertilizer. So when we actually go and put wood chips on the upper paddock, before we do that, we're going to take sweet feed because it has molasses in it. And it's just fucking animal feed. And we're going to run it with the four-wheelers and spread it with the sprayer. The grain sprayer, spreader, I guess, and then we're going to put wood chips over it because what that does is it feeds microbes and worms.
Right.
Within a month, man, you'll move that soil back, and those fucking worms, and the worms are really what you want because the worms do the work for you.
Casting.
Podcast video 28, Pulling the Thread. Listen to Pulling the Thread. Oh, that's our shit.
That's our shit.
Edward Brown. Man, I got a bunch of nothing here. Edward Brown says, water in block freezes. Freeze plugs pop out. Block leaks but not damage. Any water in the radiator, even frozen, will warm up to safe temp before the thermostat opens and circulates to the engine. Typically, warm engine, 210 degrees Fahrenheit. For obvious reason, portions or 100% antifreeze can stop this, but depending on your climate, not always needed. In fact, straight water will run an engine cooler than antifreeze. Lastly, always remember, unless an emergency, always use distilled water to prevent corrosion. I've heard that many times.
That was just basically off of my thing, off of my misunderstanding, and I had heard that so long ago that it just became gospel about don't run your don't run your engine, because if the water's frozen in the radiator, when that cold water gets introduced into your engine, that's what's going to crack the block. It totally doesn't make sense now that people have explained it, but that's just the way I remember it from high school automotive, and
distilled water, especially in
becomes
aluminum.
gospel. Yeah.
What about in your bong? Do you guys use? I don't think I've even been present when anybody's used a bong.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing about stoners. Okay. Here's the thing.
They're using their own piss.
This
or
is
whatever.
100% thing about stoners.
Yo, bro.
They don't give a shit what kind of water is in the bong. The bong water is the worst water on the planet.
After or before?
At all times. Even if they buy a brand new bong, the water that goes into the bong will probably be water that's poured out of the old bong. They don't care.
Does that get you higher?
I don't know.
What about using booze?
I don't know. Anybody use booze in their bong water?
Somebody's gonna say. Every time I'm like, I'll do a video every morning, like a little 1 minute. That's all Instagram lets you do. I'm like, stop being a piece of shit. Go do some shit. Get the fuck up. Fucking, and inevitably there's always an asshole's like, and I'll ask a question like, what are you doing right now to better yourself? And there's always some dipshit. I always ban them like immediately. I'm taking a shit on the toilet. And every time you look at the picture, almost always, it's always a dude that's got nothing but fucking bongs and shit.
There is no fucking way. There is no way in hell. He has to be in another country. Because there's no way in hell a stoner is up when you are up. There's just no way in hell they're up that early.
Rob Pridemore, sorry, buddy. Democrats fail to acknowledge our... Man, I am really jacked. This fucking...
Are you jacked up on Red Bull and iced tea?
You know what it is?
It's that fucking
candy bar.
It said 4 grams of sugar you just ate.
Andy Frisella. I use OptiGreens. For you guys that don't know, OptiGreens, it is 27 servings. It's like 5,000 times the recommended daily allowance of greens. I take that every morning. I get up, I take all my stuff before the gym, I go to the gym, and then as soon as I'm back here, I use 2 scoops of OptiGreens just because it's a good time to get it in. 3 drops of iodine, and sometimes I'll put some more pre-workout in there. Jack me up. Usually at that point, I'll drink that and then go take a shower. But I ordered OptiGreens, and they sent me a candy bar. It's their protein bar. It's not really a candy bar. It's a goddamn candy bar. And I'm like, Andy Frisella's he's like, what the fuck are you eating, a candy bar? I go, Andy Frisella's company. He's like, Andy Frisella doesn't even know they sell a candy bar.
Yeah, there's no way Andy knows that they gave away a free candy bar with the purchase of OptiGreens.
They actually give away a lot of shit. He just might not have known it was a candy bar. It literally is like a $100,000 crunch bar or something.
Yeah, hey,
like
Andy,
bar.
The candy bar tasted really good, but 4 grams of sugar, man, that's a little high, bro. You need to bring it down a little bit.
I think that was real Rice Krispies in that motherfucker. It literally is like $100,000 bar. Democrats fail to acknowledge our country's history and the great people who overcame obstacles and hardship so that we can complain about the shitty Wi-Fi on airplanes. Democrats will have you believe there are many obstacles still to overcome. Their obstacles will send us backwards in history. It ruins my flight when my Wi-Fi is shit. Because you know damn well half the time you can turn your phone on and that motherfucker will still... I don't ever put my phone on safe mode.
Well, the reality is that they've kind of debunked that anyways. Here's the thing about the Democrats, though. They can't revisit history. They can't use history because remember, the Democrats' history is the party of segregation.
They were the Ku Klux Klan.
They're the party of the Ku Klux Klan. They are the party of segregation. Guys. All the Jim Crow laws were written by Democrats, my friend. So you can't really go. Let's go back in history and look at the kind of good things that we did for this country, because they don't. Unless they're going to fix the Wi-Fi in airplanes, then I guess that's good.
My father, built his last house around a poured room below ground level. Aside from moisture and a dehumidifier constantly running, the idea was brilliant. That's where we're at right now. Yeah. We had 4 steps to open, including a powder-filled powder-filled steel door, but with enough info accessible. The new owner didn't even realize it was there until 4 months after closing. She now uses it as a panic room. Security really fascinates me. People really put a lot of awesome tech to the challenge. Keep it up. Constant mention and share your podcast. Thank you, man. Ed Brown.
There's a lot of tech out there. You know, if you're talking about a panic room or anything like that, there's a lot of good technology out there. Just, you know, the key is redundancy in your technology. Get your defense in depth. Make them have to go through multiple things. And then ultimately, 1080p, bro. 1080p is admissible in court.
Everything's 1080p now. My game cameras are 1080p.
I get all the time. We are friends with the Waverly Sheriff's Department, and all the time I get. Well, I don't say all the time.
You see it on Facebook for Camden, County.
Once a month, Gina will get a hey. She'll get it. She'll be like, "Do you know this guy?" And it'll be some dude.
You're like, how the fuck would I know this guy?
It'll be some dude looking up at a camera trying to rummage through somebody's truck or something. So, film, because, you know, you're not always home. You're not always, you can't always be there. And even if you are there, what happens on your property it may behoove you to have a documentation of it.
To protect yourself.
Protect yourself, yeah.
Not only that, like, if you have kids, your kids are talking. Like, I know you think by telling your kids, hey, don't tell anybody about this. Kids like to brag. No matter what you think, your kids are talking. Just remember that shit. There might be some shit that you don't want your kids to know or see. Just fucking remember that until they're a little bit older. Skully is correct. Can't panic buy when you always buy guns. Skully's only panic buy in life was the brown bag gun or the crazy serial number AR. There should be a t-shirt. Never panic buy. Buy every day. Keep up the videos. I vote for Pierre's return.
Yeah, those are panic buys when somebody, like, if you've got, let's say you've got some old SKSs and some fucking Mosin and Gotts that aren't worth anything, because those guns really aren't worth anything, and you have them in cases. If you show up here, legal guns, if you show up here driving a 5-ton, wearing an M65 field jacket, and you got them in crates, that's my next crazy buy. I'm buying everything in the truck because that's just cool.
We were buying.
Hey guys, don't steal guns and bring them here.
We were buying SKSs in crates.
Yeah.
Wasn't there 6 to a crate or 10? We were buying Chinese Norinco SKSs for $69 a rifle.
Man, that's just ridiculous when you think how cheap those guns
I guess
were.
that's 20 years ago almost.
Yeah, they've, you know, all you panic buyers raise the price on fucking SKSs.
Skully, I meant my experience with MREs started in '86. First gen MREs I got out in '92 after the Gulf War. Roger that, Ken, because we actually mentioned that yesterday on the fucking video, questioning that. I
came in '88, so we chomped on some of the same MREs. My drill instructors actually fucked up. Man, Sergeant Major Booker.
You got in the Marine Corps in '88?
1988, July 11th.
I wasn't even supposed to graduate high school until 1990.
I was on the Yellow Footprints, July 11th, 1988.
How the fuck does that even... How old are you?
I'm old, I told you.
How old are you?
49?
How old am I?
You're 48?
I gotta be... I'm way younger.
Okay, maybe you're 46. I don't know. No, you're 48.
I wasn't. I dropped out of high school in the 10th grade. I wasn't supposed to graduate high school until 1990 or 91.
No, I think you did your math wrong. 1988, I was on the Yellow Footprints, but I was lucky. I never actually had to stand on the Yellow Footprints. When I went to boot camp, because I was so close to MCRD, my fucking recruiter, which was kind of cool, kind of not cool. My recruiter decides he's going to drive me to boot camp.
Because he didn't think you'd go.
I don't know if no, because I don't think I ever gave them the impression that I wasn't going. Was going to drive me to boot camp. So 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm in the recruiter car, and we're driving to fucking Camp Pendleton, or, MCRD. He actually gets pulled over. Because he's speeding, because he's afraid we're going to be late. And there's a whole law enforcement thing about you can't use a government vehicle to be speeding, and he's like, I gotta get this recruit. It was pretty funny. But anyways, it gets me to MCRD, and when I get there, there's no recruits there. All the drill instructors are sitting in the in-processing warehouse at this table. There's fucking 6 in-processing drill instructors there, and they're all sitting at this table. Recruiter comes in, and he's like, hey, this is one of your recruits, I'm dropping him off. And they all look at him, and they're like, oh, that's cool, man. Yeah, just drop him off. That's good. You know, and they did some small talk a little bit. They're all chill and everything. And I'm just standing there. And then my recruiter leaves. And then the drill instructors are like, what are we going to do with them? We're not expecting those guys to get here. They're like, why don't you come over here? And so they took me around the corner, and it's where they had all the ditty bags set up. You know, when you first get to boot camp, you get your jailhouse issue, and they had them all set up. And there's a corporal there, and he's in civilian clothes, and the drill instructor's like, hey, can you use him for anything? He's like, oh yeah, I can use him. And so the drill instructors leave, and then there's a corporal there. The corporal's like, man, hey, I need you to put toothpaste in all these bags. So I'm dropping 2 tubes of toothpaste in the bag, and the corporal's like, hey, man, you want a Coke or something? Have you eaten? You haven't eaten, have you? All we have is this vending machine. I'll get you something, because I know you don't have no money. And I'm like, in my head, I'm going, fucking, it's pretty smooth here. This is going to be a cakewalk. Far side of the warehouse, I hear this fucking drill instructor screaming, let's go fuck those guys up. We're going to fuck them up. He comes running in there, and all these drill instructors they're around the table. Now, I'm in the other room. There's just a little wall partition, you know, not a full wall. And they're like, get a car. We're going to go to the airport, and we're going to fuck these bitches up. Apparently, some of the recruits that flew in were at the airport, and they were being a little rowdy. And so the drill instructors, which they never do, were going to go to the airport and actually pick them up at the airport and fuck them up at the airport. And so their drill instructors are going off, and I'm just on the other side like, okay. Bus finally gets there, and they're doing the whole thing out on the yellow footprints, yelling and screaming and fucking making a move through. They're moving through the line, and everybody's getting their ditty bags, and they're screaming at them, and I'm just standing on the side with the corporal. I'm just standing on the side with the corporal because they hadn't told me to do anything. I'm just standing there. And then they're all gone. And I'm just there with the corporal. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do? And he's like, well, I think you're supposed to go with them. I'm like, well, so he leaves, comes back. Or he doesn't leave. Drill instructor pokes his head in. And the corporal's like, hey, this is one of your recruits. You remember the guy dropped him off this morning? And he's like, oh, you motherfucker, and just starts commencing to fucking me up because, you know, I didn't get all the in-processing fuck up. It's pretty funny. Good time.
Weapons Junkie says thanks for the shout out.
Yeah, they used to be able to cuss at you. I know they can't do it anymore, but they used to be able to cuss at you.
Fuck the Jeep. You only buy Jeep because you can't afford Toyota. I don't know about that. There's some expensive ass Jeeps out there. I just didn't want a Jeep. Frenchie is a high-quality person. We were all debating. That's how you do it. We all can disagree on things and still be boys. Don't be so sensitive.
Hey, Weapons Junkie. Look, I know. You don't need to prop Frenchie up. He is HVT number 1. That means he's number 1.
Skully, how do you feel about a Semi-249? Considering buying a Para model this year, I feel like I need a gun goal this year, and what's a better example if it happens, John, I'm going to need an NSW rig. You need an NSW rig whether you get a 249 or not.
Mm-hmm. You do. You need it. I mean, the reality, don't get mad. The reality is there's no reason to buy a semi-automatic saw. There's no reason to buy one outside of cool factor. The only reason why I want a 249, the only reason why I want a semi-automatic saw, is because
you hear that?
Yeah.
Is that a tornado or really long
that's
thunder?
just thunder. The only reason why I want a saw is because it's the first gun I carried in the fleet. And when I was on the winning squad for Super Squad, I was actually carrying a saw. So I think it's a great weapon. The Marine Corps does not use it right, which is what they do with a lot of their weapon systems. But that's the only reason why I want one. It's really useless in semi-automatic in semi-automatic with a closed bolt, firing from a closed bolt. It's it's really useless for the amount of money you're going to pay for it. I'm doing it strictly for the nostalgia point of it. Just like the Barrett, I'm not gonna buy 10,000 rounds of fucking 50 cal ammo to shoot through a Barrett, but I need to buy a Barrett because I carried one when I was with the sniper platoon. So Parasaw are not as good as the full length saws, and none of the saws ever work very well using magazines. So you're going to end up buying the M20. I believe they're M29 links. You can actually find them on eBay. A lot of people sell them on eBay, and you're gonna have to link that ammo. Or you go the expensive route and buy the ammo already linked.
Weapons collection, in reply to Weapons Junkie. I'm on the same page. My safe... No, okay, not what I thought. I'm on the same page. My safe is a Fort Knox Legend and is basically built into the cellar, which is semi-hidden in my house. I live in an old farmhouse. The stairway is through the back... Not anymore, it's not secret. Back broom closet in the kitchen. My safe has foundation on 2 sides, cinder block on the 3rd, and is bolted to the floor. I built it when I bought and remodeled my house. Took me almost a week and a lot of help from buddies figuring out where and how to demo to get the safe in the cellar. Right on, man.
Yeah, that's good. And once again, it's all about time. Everything you do to make your safe less accessible is creating time. That time gap is a problem for opportunity thieves. When it's just some fucking crackhead driving down the road or whoever that knows you're not going to be home for a minute, you're just creating that time gap. And the more you do, the better off you're going to be in the long run.
What would be great is if when the stairway down to the cellar, once your alarm is triggered, if a gate slams shut and you actually captured them.
Some states that would be illegal.
Yeah, crazy.
You can't, even though they were committing a crime, it's illegal. And like California, you can't really detain somebody.
All those states, it would also be illegal if while they break into your house and are stealing your shit and lighting your house on fire, if they twist their ankle, they could sue you for that. Or if they cut themselves on glass, or if they lit your house on fire and it burnt down, their family could still sue you while they died in your house. Leave those states.
Man, if you're in a liberal state, there's a good chance, even if it's a totally righteous shoot, if the fucking axe murderer breaks out of jail, grabs an axe, goes to your house, uses the axe to fucking chop your door open, goes straight to your kid's bedroom, it's got the axe over, and you shoot that person, there's a really good chance you're still gonna fucking your life is gonna be ruined.
You guys are on point with these podcasts. We appreciate the info in every one. John, if you had life to do over and had a chance to join the military, which branch would you have gone with and why? I know you and Skully know a bunch of ninjas and have been close to the mil-LEO industry for years, so these questions seem logical. That you might at one point have thought about it. It would have been the Navy. I actually talked to what was called a dive motivator
Boatswain's mate
about having my record expunged. I literally was I was in motion to that direction. It had to be 3 years. At 3 years, I could have had it expunged. In that 3 years, I kind of started the business and just never did do the paperwork. So Navy is actually... I talked to recruiters and the deal. Flamethrower for self-defense. Good God Almighty, that would be problematic. Though, yes, gun control here in the UK, people are still getting shot, and yet we have, by all accounts, some of the tightest gun control laws in the world. Yes, that's Daniel Marshall. Flamethrowers, while we're talking about flamethrowers, we had some Icon. Was it Icon flamethrowers?
Icon, I think.
We had the little flamethrowers here. We actually bought a couple of them.
Pretty fun.
Gave them away as giveaways in some of our drawings and stuff. They were really neat. They don't last long enough. And while they're really neat, they were super cool the first 20 times you shoot them. After that, you're like, there's fucking gasoline everywhere. I mean, like, there's always some... They're fun.
They're fun. I mean, truth be told about any flamethrower system outside of the flamethrowers that were in Sherman tanks, that's the problem. The portability of it. How long?
We had a Vietnam one here.
Yeah. How long does that weapon system stay stay in the fight. So a modern, not a modern, but a World War II flamethrower, you had 11 seconds. You had 11 seconds of pull. Now, that doesn't sound like a long time, but if you're, if you're just spraying it around like you're killing weeds, if you're using it diligently, that you can cook a lot of shit with it. And this is for you over there in the UK. A flamethrower is awesome from this perspective. Okay, if I get you, if you're charging at me or whatever, and I'm shooting bullets at you, people can be brave. People can be very, very brave about bullets that aren't hitting them. So even getting hit by a bullet, because of the way bullets react, you will find that a lot of times people won't even know that they were hit, that they were actually hit, or how much damage it actually has done, and they will keep going to fight. The difference is, if I put some flame on your ass, if I put a little flame on your arm, no matter who you are at that point, the only thing you're thinking about is my arm is on fire. You stop thinking about everything else, and you're like, that's fucking fire. It's on my arm. I got to deal with this. I'm not going to deal with anything down there. So flamethrowers it's a good self-defense weapon, because you really, think about if you got a bunch of hooligans down there kicking over your trash cans and shit, and you lean out of the fucking upstairs window with the flamethrower and just give a little crease across the fucking front yard, it'd be the last time they kick over your cans, and you won't even have to hit them with it.
I got friends that work at 2 different municipal water treatment plants. They both told me there is no way to get the hormones and antidepressants out of our water supply. My brother-in-law just got a warning letter that there is a radioactive isotope in their water. That's some shit. Yes, I've heard the antidepressant thing before. Yes, somebody had asked a Berkey. Yes, a Berkey will remove all that shit. In California, just like they're putting fluoride in, they wanted to put antidepressants and what do they put you on for cholesterol or heart meds?
It's a statin. But
statins. They wanted to put statins in the water supply. They literally that's no shit. That they're trying that actually look that shit up. They're trying to actually do that. That's because your pharmaceutical companies fucking run everything. All that money. I didn't know all those dudes were going to be talking shit about Pierre, or I wouldn't have made that joke. He's a good dude, always reaching out to new shooters and trying to show them the path of the warrior mindset. Gary Johnson said that. Conrad says, start the Museum of Armored Warfare so they can give you an Abrams tank and other assorted vehicles and equipment. I'm sure you know enough people that you can get started. Haven't figured on how to get the ammo for said vehicles, but I'm sure you can convert that. Love the videos and podcast. You guys is the best.
So
just a pineapple from an 808 state aloha.
So here, what you would do, you would get a what you can do for artillery pieces and tanks is you can get a BAFTA, a ATF approved breech block. So it's kind of similar to getting a any other destructive device. It is considered a destructive device. So if you have a Sherman tank, you can get a breech block. You can get a breech block for it. Apply for all the proper paperwork, and they'll give you the paperwork. The issue becomes the ammunition. But if you're just shooting Projos, so solid. If you're just shooting solid aluminum or whatever you're gonna mill those things out of, then it doesn't matter. So you can shoot a fucking, I don't even know what an Abrams round, like an HE round weighs, but you could shoot a Projo that weighs the same amount, just not have any HE or anything in it. And I'm gonna tell you right now,
fire bag of fire.
You motherfucking hit a damn car with a fucking solid piece of aluminum fired out of an M1 Abrams tank. That car is wrecked. You don't need HE, but you can do it. And especially for a museum, you could have like out here in Tennessee, you could have a tank museum that has a demo range where you could actually take people inside the M1 Abrams and give them the experience of firing that weapon system. There's a cool family up in, I want to say Illinois. I might be wrong. It might be North Dakota, but they started bringing in British vehicles and pulling out I think they started with Russian vehicles and pulling out the power plants in those vehicles and putting Caterpillar power plants in it. And you can go up there and drive these tanks. Like if you want to drive a T-72, you can drive this T-72 around. They have, packages where you can do that. And I think just a couple of years ago, they started where you can actually shoot. I think it's a Sherman tank that they have where you can drive around and shoot at targets with the Sherman tank. Pretty cool.
I looked at SOE equipment's topography.
Topography.
You should see if anybody knows one of the companies that put in those high tower power lines south of Special Operations Equipment. That would probably be the power plant over there. We also have some cell towers really close here. They could tell you how deep your caissons would have to go to rest on the rock. Also, the cost of the steel and rigging for the towers you want in. All ballpark, of course. Benton County zoning should okay structure as SOEs outside of Camden limits. So we have no zoning. We literally can do fucking pretty much whatever we want. Reef Kennedy, y'all talking about the dead guy killing the 2 FBI agents in Dade County made me think of Clint Smith quote, "You can still be killed by someone you have already killed." Check out the raw Clint videos on YouTube.
I had a really good friend who recently passed away, Billy Stojak, former Red Cell guy, like used to fucking handle Tricky Dick Marcinko. Just a great guy.
Owns a tank.
He owned 2 tanks. Just a fucking hell of a dude, very knowledgeable on machine guns and everything. But they, Las Vegas Metro decided they were going to use him as a civilian marksmanship instructor for the police department. He was the only non-actual, well, I don't know what you'd call it. He was not a police officer, but he still wore the greens and was able to carry a gun. He was the only civilian guy who was allowed to carry a gun out there at their range. But they got this super fancy video game shooting system, where you have the little laser gun and they project everything on the screen and you can shoot. Well, theirs is 100, I believe it's 180, and it has a walking thing on it, so you can walk
treadmill thing,
and you can walk past targets. So you can walk past, the scenery keeps moving. And so Billy is doing this thing with the police officer, and they're going through the scenarios. And bad guy comes out with a gun and shoots. They shoot. Bad guy falls down on the ground, and they're walking. And the bad guy comes up, and he's like he's right alongside, kind of on the screen alongside where Billy is. And Billy's just like, boom, boom, shoots him again twice, and then keeps going. And the cop's like, what the fuck are you doing? What? We can't do that. And he goes, I ain't walking by nobody that we thought was dead.
That's pretty good shit. Most gun safes can be opened with a Harbor Freight grinder and some cutoff wheels. Can be done for about $25. A gentleman that lives a couple counties over from where I lived had his safe stolen. They knocked 2 holes in the wall, ran a chain around it, and pulled through the wall with a tractor. Skully is right. It's all about the caliber of criminal you are trying to foil.
Yeah, the weakest part of your safe is actually the back of the safe.
Somebody else said
It's really easy to cut a hole in the back of your safe. That's why it should always be up against a wall. A lot of the newer safes, though, if you watch some of the... There's some YouTube videos about breaking into safes, and if you watch some of the newer videos, they're actually throwing them down on the back and using the big pry bars to just force the doors past the lock.
I think
so. I mean, but once again, it's all time. All I need is to eat up a lot of time. Every little layer that they have to go through, I'm hoping that it eats up enough time to either the police are going to show up because the alarm went off, or I'm going to show up because I got my Diet Pepsi and corn for the deer, and I'm coming back home. That's all I'm trying to do is eat up time.
And he said alarm. It should be alarms.
Yeah, it should be
separate alarms.
And a little thing that as soon as they open the safe, shoots cat piss in their face. Just some cat piss. Psh.
145 rounds of 9mm on his person. Jesus, that's more than a weighted vest. I carry 80, and it's a workout. I know you guys don't care about money. I care about money. I'm pretty sure I care about some money. But I, along with I'm sure many others, would be willing to pay to help offset the cost and time of doing this, and you could offer discount codes or early access ideas. I don't know what we're talking about.
Maybe funding the podcast?
I don't know what he's talking about.
Or maybe he wants discount codes.
Here's another one. Glock 26 concealed carry, Glock 17 personal duty, Glock 22 work duty. You must be a cop. When your life depends on it, always rock a Glock. Laugh out loud. This comment was not sponsored by Glock. He also, in another post, says, safes are like locks. They are only for honest people, not thieves. True. And fences make good neighbors. Here's another one. Agreed, guns are only made to kill, but just like anything else, anything can be used to kill someone. Rusty spoons can kill too. Yes, they can.
It's about intent. I mean, the reality is, yes, guns can't kill anybody. You have to operate that gun. We haven't got to the point. Just imagine AI when guns can think for themselves. We haven't got to that point. It takes human interaction, and a human has to make that decision. I've seen plenty of times. I have personally seen plenty of times, and across all, well, not too many Army guys, because I didn't see too many Army guys, but across service lines of people who would not, when the time came to actually kill someone, they just wouldn't do it. They wouldn't pull that fucking trigger. They would not make it happen. It's part of the reason why the Marine Corps squad is the size it is, because of the amount of people on Guadalcanal that never fired their rifles. There's a bunch of studies too about the Civil War, about how guys in the front rank. I mean, I am the guy that is, if I'm in the front rank,
if you don't kill, you're going to be killed.
I'm the dude that's getting killed the fastest, and them finding rifles on the battlefield that's just loaded on top of each other, where they're going through all the motions to load that gun, because that is what they have to do when they're in that line. But when it comes time to pull the trigger, they're not pulling the trigger. They're just sitting there and then reloading. So you'd be amazed at how many people, even with the best training in the world, how many people won't pull the trigger when that time comes.
Christopher Wick, I sold all my guns to the liberal lesbian nuns that knocked on my door last week because I don't have a safe. They'll still arrest you for that, Christopher, when they come looking for them. I definitely wasn't a fan of Pierre, but I agree that it's good to hear other viewpoints. I just hated his delivery. He was always quick to interrupt and try talking over the rest of the guys. Nah, Ellis.
He's crazy. Pierre's crazy. HVT number 1.
Weapons Junkie again says, Pierre's an awesome guy. It was good for us to look at other viewpoints. He is in the gun culture.
I don't even think honestly, I don't even know if that's really Pierre's viewpoint. I think what Pierre was really trying to do, I think what he was really trying to do is kind of put the shoe on the other foot kind of thing, and he just didn't explain it very well. He may be a bleeding heart liberal. I don't know.
Weapons Junkie, I should have said I wasn't a fan of how he was trying to present his argument. Didn't mean to knock the guy. Right on. Weapons Junkie again, at Chris Ellis. You're a good man. I understand what you were saying. He was passionate about his viewpoints, and that I respect. You had a lot of alpha guys standing in a circle. I don't think they mean Pierre. I don't think Pierre was the alpha.
Pierre's definitely not an alpha.
At some point, we were all going to overtalk each other, and it's just us older guys have a little more patience. Who do you think the alpha guys were?
Probably the Canadian. What was his name? Canadian guy?
Ed Hubble.
Ed Hubble.
There has been a shit ton of cash and tax type chit chat. Just wanted to say cheap up front, expensive in the end. shit random computer analysis of your finances can find bullshit. Taxation may be theft, but dudes with flashbangs and M4s might traumatize or kill your wife and kids. This, think of it as pyramid of power with an eye that sees it all. You're right. That's 100%, dude. 100%. That's what you hear us say. Taxation's theft, but the dudes that come knocking on your door, they're jocked up. They're hyped up. They're jacked up. They've been drinking Mountain Dew. They want to use that shit. When they came and did our raid, IRS was the only agency not there that day. 14 agencies were on target.
That's surprising.
When they came and did our raid, they had keys. They had us. The reconnaissance team was in the shop at 7:30 that morning. 2 NCIS agents came in, told me they were NCIS agents, said they had just gotten SIG 228 and they want SIG 228s and they wanted 60 holsters. I actually ginned up for 45 minutes, talked to them, bullshitted with them. I was the only person present in the building. Gave them a quote, the whole deal, printed out the whole deal. 45 minutes by myself. They could have handcuffed me and said, hey, we're executing a warrant. They came back 90 minutes later and flashbanged the shop, busted out the window. They hit the door, old fucking like 2x6 framed door, 6 inches wide, with a glass in the middle, with like caulk holding it on. They hit the door, didn't open the door. The door's fucking old. It's like probably 50 years old. Hit the door a second time. I'm like, hold on, I'll open the door. It didn't even compute to me that they were fucking, like, really what was going on. They finally busted the window and a dude opened the door. They're screaming, get on the ground, get on the ground. I'm on the ground. Bornfriend is over by the counter. The dude, the first guy comes in and trips. The second guy trips over him and his gun slides up and hits us. And I go, don't fucking move, Mike. They're going to shoot us. We literally had their fucking gun. They were all wearing different gear. They could have at any time. When they went to my house, my apartment, I had 3 garages. My wife was there. She's like, I will open the door for you. They still hydraulic spreadered all the doors and broke all the fucking door frames and all the stucco. And we're talking on apartments where there's fucking 2-story apartments above the garage, and they just fucking jammed these garage doors wide open and busted them. Brett Hansen, also, when they water charged his house.
I think so.
Explosive charged his house. His wife Espy was there with the keys. She was in a police car. She's like, I have the keys. She's coming home with his fucking child. They wanted to use that gear. When the IRS comes and raids your house in the middle of the night, they're going to use their toys, guys.
Yeah, they're going to use their toys. They're going to do it in the middle of the night.
And they don't care where those fucking bullets go or what the fuck happens. They're going to kill something. It's going to happen. Just pay the fucking taxes.
Watch watch them hit Roger Stone's house and look at all the shenanigans that are going out front. They're running around like fucking keys. It's
insane.
Actually terrible because I know guys on that side of the house and they're professional dudes. But for whatever reason, anytime they're going to do any of this shit, they get the Keystone Cops. If you watch these guys going to Roger Stone's house, it's fucking embarrassing. And listen to what Roger Stone says. When they open the door to execute the search warrant, and they're all out there in their fucking ninja gear and their fucking M4 carbines and shit, he says over and over again, please don't shoot my wife, she's deaf. Please don't shoot my wife. She has no idea what's going on. Do not shoot my wife. She is up there with our 3 cats. That was his biggest concern. That these motherfuckers were going to raid his house. This fucking 60-year-old man with an expired passport, a deaf wife, and they had to raid his house. That was all for fucking show. 100% for fucking show. It was ridiculous.
That's because those are the goobers. Those are the dudes like, when they go, hey, we're going to hit this dude, the real shooters are like, why the fuck are we doing this? Like somebody said this, they're getting questioned. When they executed our warrant, they brought in California Department of Justice out of Los Angeles, Bureau of Narcotics Enforcement out of Los Angeles. Why is that? That's because the fucking San Diego sector dudes wouldn't execute the warrant. ATF in San Diego said this is bullshit. Fucking SWAT team said this is bullshit. Like, this is all public shit, guys. Go look it up. Not the little bullshit newspaper. Dig a little bit deeper. Because everybody puts that newspaper shit up. I gave you the link to the newspaper. We know you shit talkers.
And even look at the newspaper. The dude's holding a fucking airsoft gun.
An airsoft gun. The
It's
other
got a
one,
windy wheel on the fucking magazine.
Federal agent poses with stolen machine gun from Camp Pendleton. It's an airsoft gun. You can see the wind-up wheel. Even better than that, the Los Angeles newspaper said, attack boas and pythons guard booty of stolen machine guns. Come on, guys.
Attack python.
Chris Osmond, you can do better. I know you keep putting those links out there. Like, put up some real shit. Put up some real shit. If you're going to come around anonymously with a fake bullshit Instagram page, put up some real shit. Because I know some of your shit. We'll throw some your way, you throw some our way, and we'll go. Maybe your company will actually, maybe you'll get some advertising. Maybe you'll actually have something going on at that point. Once again, awesome podcast. How many countries have you been to while in service? Also, what was your favorite and which one was the most dangerous? Thanks. Keep up the killer podcast.
That's a tough one. I've been to anything off the west coast of California. So all your Korea, Singapore, Thailand, Hong Kong, multiple times. Australia. I only got to go to Australia twice. Everywhere in the Persian Gulf, all those, Qatar, all them shitty countries, Mogadishu, Seychelles Islands. Most dangerous. Depends on what you mean. Most dangerous peacetime had to have been Singapore. It had to have been Singapore because we ended up in a crocodile sanctuary. That was the most dangerous. And then
like as a reconnaissance team, or like paid admission and went through the front door?
No. So they got us in this place. You know, they got the whole battalions ashore, and we were going to patrol the Singapore first time. This had to have been in the 90s because I think we were still wearing chocolate chips. But Singapore had a sniper range where everything was on a computer, so you didn't have to move. You just looked at this computer and you shot further and further targets, and it would tell you where you hit. So they're like, snipers, you're gonna do tactical patrol to get to this place.
Did we own the range or Singapore?
No, Singaporean. I believe they were Singaporean Marines. So we come up with this route and everything, and we patrol to.
Are those Rock Marines?
No, Rock Marines are Korea.
Got it. Okay.
Yep. So we patrol to this thing, and we're going through the jungle and walking through fucking, waist deep water, and we're fucking camied up and shit, and we get to where we're supposed to go, right? So we get there, but they're literally.
Were you in a ghillie suit?
No, we were just wearing camis. There's a fucking fence that was 30 feet high, small chain link, 30 feet high. Like, as far as you could see that way and as far as you could see that way, and we are on the wrong side of the fence.
Because you're in Jurassic Park.
And we're like, what the fuck? So we're trying to figure out how we're going to get through this fence. I think we even got our fucking wire cutters out. Well, we'll just cut through this motherfucker. And these Singaporean Marines see us, and they start freaking out. They're like,
are they on the other side of the fence?
They're on the good side of the fence. They're like, they're freaking out, and they're pointing at us, and they're screaming in, I don't know what the language is, Singaporean? I don't know. But they're screaming at us and shit, and we're like, what the fuck are these motherfuckers getting upset for? So finally, they bring I don't know what they brought a vehicle around, so there was like a road on the inside of the fence. So eventually this vehicle comes and gets us, and they're like, get out. Like they're evacuating us, and we fucking get to the other side, and we get to the other side, and we're on the good side of the fence, and these guys don't speak English, and they point at the fence, and there's these huge signs about every 5 feet, and it's got a fucking crocodile on it, and then it says some shit in fucking Singapore, and then it says some shit in something else, and then it says some shit in English, and it's saltwater crocodiles, a saltwater crocodile sanctuary, stay the fuck out. And we had just walked through the whole thing.
Oh shit.
That was the most dangerous peacetime.
Thoughts on Julian Assange?
Thoughts on Julian Assange?
And Kim.com. I've never even heard of Kim.com.
I mean, I don't know. It's one of those things. He's whether he was working, here's the thing, whether he was working for the Russians or not. A lot of people think that he was working for the Russians, whatever. Whether he was working for the Russians or not, there's a lot of information that he has leaked that otherwise we would be in the dark about. And would Hillary Clinton be president of the United States right now if none of that stuff had come out? I don't know. I mean, he's definitely a weirdo. Julian Assange is a weirdo.
Your name
but
was Exchange?
No, not
That's
Julian
not him.
Assange. That's the other. That's the kid from the army. He's definitely a weirdo, but he leaked a lot of information that
Proves it was true.
that was all true. So I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about Julian. He's having a hell of a time in the damn embassy.
They're about to kick him out.
They you know what, they say that every month, but the problem with that embassy is they can't. Their charter doesn't allow them to do that. That's why he picked that embassy.
John, to talk a little further on the fact that the government doesn't want us to be self-sufficient, refresh yourself on Randy Weaver, case on Ruby Ridge. They framed the guy and killed his family because he was living off the grid. That is not true. He also got the biggest settlement from the American government in his history once they were found to be in the wrong. We've met Randy Weaver and his daughter several times, as a matter of fact. I did not know he got the biggest settlement.
Yeah.
Why they started looking there, I don't know, but I know that he was involved with a group that had some white supremacists in it, in Idaho, and they pinched him on something, and they wanted him to go in and sell a shotgun to this group. He was supposed to have the group gave him some shotguns or something to cut down. The guns, if I remember right, were cut just under 16 inches.
Yeah, it was a 16th of an inch, I think,
Like you couldn't tell. So like an average layman whips out a tape measure, you're going to say, oh, that barrel's 16 inches. It was just enough that the ATF could then go and grab that dude for having an underbarrel shotgun. At the last minute, he decided he was not going to go to the meeting, said, fuck you guys, and that is when the siege ensued, basically.
And that's when he held up. I mean, there's a lot of things that those guys did wrong.
Tons.
That the feds did
How
wrong.
about all those guys using the shooter that killed his kid? How about that dude being the spokesperson for fucking H&S Precision and several other companies? How about that what's that dude's name?
I can't
His
remember.
name fucking pops up every year. You see him on some shit.
So, I mean, they did a bunch of shit wrong. I mean, all those law enforcement agencies, and it was tragic for everybody. Shit happens.
And Justin Smith, man, if I'm wrong about that, you can.
That's
you have a
right.
video-
All that's right about him belonging to a white supremacist.
No, I know everything I said is right, but about him living off the grid and stuff like that.
He was.
If you have some video that says this is what initiated this is what got them looking at him, I'll watch it, man. If you got a link to some video you think, I watched some Randy Weaver videos last year, as a matter of fact, but I don't remember any of that having to do with being off the grid. Once again, awesome podcast, Skully. We did that one. Regarding safes, I used to work for a money courier. I seen how fast big custom-made professional safes are defeated by local small-time locksmiths. Anyone who believes that a $3,000 safe at Costco, I didn't even know Costco had a $3,000 safe. I've seen them sell I guess online, but I've seen a bunch of safes in Costco, but they're pretty much like Tractor Supply type safes. Is going to stop a thief will be disappointed when they discover that it wasn't all that safe. good one. Clinton at work again. I just seen this news article today. Woman who accused John of God cult leader of rape mysteriously kills herself at Spanish home. She was reportedly living under protection in Spain after receiving death threats. What does that have to do with Clinton? John of God cult. I've never even heard of that cult. Have you?
I haven't heard of it either.
Richard Mogul says, thoughts on the NFA getting challenged in Supreme Court. Guns of America is financially backing it.
It's not going to... Well, if they find Ruth Bader Ginsburg's body and he gets another Supreme Court justice in there, the revolution will start. There's no way the crazy liberals in Oregon and Washington, D.C. and California are going to allow Donald Trump to put another Supreme Court justice on that court. They're not going to allow it. They will not. But right now, Ruth Bader Ginsburg is somewhere with a fucking tube in her mouth. They are keeping her alive solely for the purpose so Trump cannot put another justice on the Supreme Court. If we get another justice on the Supreme Court, all this stuff, this NFA, the suppressors, man, all that is going to be thrown at the Supreme Court. And here's the thing that most people don't understand.
But it won't be heard in time.
Well, here's the thing that most people don't understand. The Supreme Court does not have to listen to any cases that go to the Supreme Court. They pick the cases they want to do. They pick those cases. When it's a Christian baker who doesn't want to bake a cake for some lesbians, they hand pick that case. It is very rare. It is very rare for the Supreme Court to pick a gun case. Very rare. So I really don't believe that any of that's going to change. Should it change? I don't know if it should change. Like, for machine guns, I don't know if the law should change. What should happen, though, I think, is it should open. So they should open the door. So if you want to if you want to manufacture a machine gun, as long as you're legit and you do the proper paperwork and you submit it to the fucking ATF, you should be able to do that. I think you should be able to do that. As far as, are we going to be selling fucking BARs at fucking Sears and Roebuck again? No, we shouldn't be allowed to do that, man.
Why?
Because we have enough problems. We have enough problems with dirtbags and guns as it is. I don't need the Chicago numbers to go up to. Just imagine how high those numbers would go if all those guys had access to machine guns.
I mean, machine guns.
It's not. It's very rare. It's very rare for you to find a.
Isn't there only one? I guess it's two now. Two legal registered
I think
machine
there's only
guns
2 crimes
have
ever
been
committed.
stolen, and those guns have been
committed
used.
with a crime. Yeah.
Thoughts on NFA? And then somebody says, not one of those cowards will ever do anything about the NFA. Good day, sir.
Yeah, I don't think they'll review the case. That's the issue.
Kyle Salva. Speaking about the police brutality, thoughts on blue line and other line flags. I think it sends the same ignorant message as Black Lives Matter shirts. And what about Black Cox Matter? Did you get that one?
Is that how come you don't have a Black Cox Matter shirt?
Represents the police state. Some people believe it's even disrespectful to the American flag itself. We are all Americans, and that's the flag you should be flying, red, white, and blue. While there are good cops out there, God bless them, there are also muscle-bound dummies that love to abuse their power. If you look recently, all those fucking cop videos of like dudes getting shot in the apartment hallway while they're on the ground with their hands on their head, that wasn't a muscle-bound cop. There's a new breed of cop coming up, and they're not looking for the muscle-bound fucking military meat eater anymore. They're not looking for the spec ops guys. They're hiring liberal, manipulated, being able to easily manipulate effeminate fucking officers that will just do what they're told.
That's right. They want to be able. They want to have people.
They're not looking for thinkers.
They want to have people in positions that will enforce a rule that is not necessarily a law. So they want those people in power they want those people in those positions so they can go, hey, you know what? It's probably a good idea if we just go confiscate some guns tomorrow. They want a bunch of police officers are going to go, we can do that now? Oh, okay, let's go do that.
Abuse their powers and go out on patrol wearing Punisher patches. I believe those have no place on police officers' uniform. We be respectful. And like John said, hands on the steering wheel and the cab lights on engine, and talk to them like you want to be talked to. Never get emotional, even if they're wrong and don't... Right, so you arguing with them, you don't have to convince the cop. You have to survive the encounter.
Yep.
It's your lawyer who has to convince the 12 people on the jury or so. Like, that cop, you're never going to see that cop again, most likely. Well, I mean, in court, but... engine off, talk to them, wrong, and don't raise your voice. It will go. Plus, your lawyer's going to tell you don't say shit. Like, every lawyer Every lawyer on a case that goes forward like this, every lawyer says, I wish you wouldn't have fucking said that.
Right now, Giuliani is like, please, Trump, just shut your fucking mouth.
It'll go a lot smoother than getting crazy. I have respect for the police and understand their job is crazy, but it doesn't give them a pass to be on the good squad. I don't have a problem with the blue line thing. I don't have a problem with the red line thing. The blue line thing, like, we support our cops. They don't need your fucking support. Like, what does that even really mean? That just means that on social media you're backing them, and maybe you'll vote the same fucking mayor back into position. I mean,
the other thing too is that have you had that experience? Have you interacted with a police officer and you felt that somehow you were in danger with that interaction? You have to understand that on a daily basis, law enforcement in the United States have millions and millions of contacts.
Even in this little town here,
Yeah.
this little town, literally 2 miles up the road, we had a fucking officer stop somebody, and a dude from the fucking house, turns out it was that dude's buddy, was shooting at a fucking police officer that we know. Literally, we were close enough to hear the gunshots.
You know, millions and millions of contacts. Out of those contacts, you have a very small, minute percentage of police officers who are acting inappropriately. And you think it's rampant because what happens is through social media and through YouTube and all that, those things keep getting played over and over and over and over and over again. You're not watching the other 900 videos that were taken in that same police department where it was license and registration, ma'am. Here's your ticket. Going back to my car. You're not watching those. Why? Because those are fucking boring. We like the train wreck. And because we like the train wreck, that's what we keep seeing over and over again because that's what continually gets played. So you have this assumption that there's something going on. It's kind of like, school shootings.
Sometimes there is something going on.
It's kind of like school shootings where you think that there's this rampant problem in the United States, and it's no worse this year than it was 10 years ago.
It's like motherfuckers, like, yeah, we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Here's a fire safe being opened with a magnet in about 2 seconds. The best safe I have found is called True Safe by Secure-It. Not perfect, but it's pretty close for under $4,000. They are the same people who make the cabinets for all the arms rooms for the military.
Put it in the corner and bolt it to the floor.
Core it in the floor.
Yeah, into the concrete.
Put it in the floor, and then put some shit over it. Put it in the corner, like you're not going to access it every day. You put a fucking bookcase over that motherfucker. You know why they're going to come in? And when you come home, your fucking your bookcase is turned over because one of your kids told them where that shit is.
There's a company that makes...
Or the person that put it in told somebody where it is.
There's a company that makes these magnet facades. So you can they just got magnets on the back of them, but it's a facade. So you can make it look like a fucking like it looks like a TV stand or a fucking. You just put these magnet facades on it, and it changes what the safe looks like, so it doesn't just scream safe. Because now I'm rummaging through drawers and shit. I might get around to that thing over there, and then when I finally get around to it, I'm like, wait a minute, and I'm just eating up time. Like I said, it's all about time.
Or put your shit in the concrete and then fucking like John Wick did.
And then
remember though, he still got in that shit twice.
And he covered it up.
He didn't do a very good job the second time.
No, he did not really.
Skully thinks there's more like 400 million guns out there. That's because he's adding in what he owns.
Well, I mean, let's just be realistic. They've been saying 300 million guns since
20 years.
Since I was 19. They were talking about how there's 300 million guns in the United States. They're not destroying millions of guns every year.
How do you think
shit just drops off? They're like, yeah.
How do you think there's so many gun industry dudes on social media with fucking helicopters and Lamborghinis? That's because they're selling millions of guns, guys.
Yeah,
I mean, some of them are renting those cars, but
it's one of those things where they're basing their number off of a probability statistic based off of current purchase rates through the DROS system. So we're talking about guns. They're basing this number off of guns that they know have been purchased. So they're not even calculating in your grandfather's shotgun or the fucking, the Thompson machine gun you have behind your wall because Grandpa brought it back from World War II. They're not even counting any of those
or your
guns.
80% lowers.
Yeah, fucking 80% lowers. I know a company.
That's what they got closed down for.
One fucking company that was selling 40,000 80% lowers a month.
In Oceanside.
A fucking month. All right? So just think about, let's say only 10% of those things got turned into firearms. Those are all firearms that are not accounted for whatsoever.
Why would you even fuck with a 80% lower? I mean, as cheap as real guns were, why would you even?
It's cool. It's cool in the sense, like if you're on the on the wall about whether or not to make an 80% lower. There's nothing special about making it an 80% lower. It's actually more.
I say this because you see so many motherfuckers putting kits together.
Yeah. It's more of a pain in the ass.
That didn't run. I can only imagine that an 80% lower has even more problems.
It's more of a pain in the ass than anything. It's just cool. It is just very cool to know, especially if you're going through all the process. If you're in the fucking basement with your drill press and shit, that thing is going to be a piece of shit and it ain't going to work. But if you've got a real CNC machine and you have the opportunity to actually push that button and change it and move it and have it.
But if you got a real CNC machine, why do you need an 80% lower?
Well, because that's how they make. That's what they're using. They're basically when you see like Colt actually gets 80% or blanks, and they create. Well, they don't. I'm sorry, they don't get 80% blanks.
Is there a number on them at that point?
No, they don't. You don't have to serialize it until. So Colt does not have to serialize it until it's finished, pre-bluing. So pre whatever they're going to do for the coating. So when they take that piece, which Colt probably doesn't. Colt probably does it all in house because it's a pain in the ass. But if you're a manufacturer that you have to send it to get coated, it has to be serialized.
So when it leaves your property,
it has to be serialized when it leaves your property. He's got to have an FFL at the coating place. He's got to log all those serial numbers in, coats it, logs them out, sends them back to you. So it's a pain in the ass. But even building an 80%er, like I said, it's a pain in the ass. It's just interesting from the perspective of being able to do it.
I guess it'd be something cool like to do with your kid,
Yeah, it's just very interesting to think that you could just take this block of aluminum and turn it into a firearm. But once again, then you got an 80%er.
There's no money in that shit.
You can't.
If you have a CNC machine, go make fucking widgets.
Something cool. And then you can't, because you're not. So if you build a firearm yourself, I can build whatever firearm I want. I do not have to put a serial number on it. I don't have to put anything on it. If it's for me, if I'm building this 80%, I'm going to build it, put it together. I'm going to keep it. I'm never going to sell it. Boom. I can have it like that. That is legal. That is within the manufacturing process of the ATF. The serial number and the manufacturing information comes with people who are selling it. All that information has to be on there if it is for sale. I don't have to have it if it's my personal weapon and I have no intention of selling it. I'm not making 400 of these things and like, oh yeah, these are all for me. Which they can get you. They can get you if you are doing that, if you're dumb enough that you're cutting out these 80%ers and you have 50 of them sitting in your safe. It's like having it's just like having fucking it's just like having machine gun parts. They'll get you for intent. They'll say, no, you don't intend to have one AR-15 or 400 AR-15s. You're intending to sell these illegally. Anyways.
It's just like the dude that buys a pound of weed because he got a better deal on it and got better weed. They're going to say that you were breaking them down. They're going to say the street value was $1 million because they rolled them into fucking joints when they did the math.
And then the other problem is with an 80% is, which I know a lot of you guys are fucking skirting this. I know a lot of you guys are doing it and not thinking about it is, I can code it, but I can't give it to anyone. I cannot relinquish that firearm to anyone to be coded. I cannot give it to them because it does not have a serial number on it. So you can't...
And they can't take it.
Yeah, it's illegal. You can't give it to a fucking guy to get laser engraved if you're just going to put your name on it. Now, once again, it's different if you say...
What if you're present?
Kind of shady, I think, as long as you're present. But It's a pain in the ass to make a fucking 80%er, and as cheap as damn lowers are now, thank you, and you can thank 80%ers. The reason why lower receivers don't cost shit anymore is because 80%ers ruined the market for anybody making a lower.
The M1A2 Bangalore torpedo is 5 feet long. We still use M60 fuse igniters when I got out. We still used M60 fuse when I got out, but it might use the new MDS jump now. Is that the electronic system? The Chinese pharmaceutical companies ship the fentanyl and also the ephedrine and the necessary compounds to cook meth to Mexico. Zhen Li Ye Gong is the owner of one of these pharmaceutical companies and is a Mexican national, and yes, was raided some years back here. Here's a link. I wish we could have fucking... You can't even have fucking primatine mist anymore. I wish you could have some fucking ephedrine. An actual real thermogenic stack. That'd be fucking nice. That's it. Podcast number 2.
You guys are killing me with these podcasts.
Would you have a deuce or a tray deuce?
Tray deuce. Always a
So
tray
you
deuce.
go tray deuce?
Yeah, always
Tray
a tray
deuce?
deuce.
Is that a gang sign? Tray deuce?
That is a gang sign.
Deuce?
I would gold.
I'd fuck it up. I'd be like 4-2.
I would gold plate it,
24.
and then I would spray Teflon over it. That way, after you dump the mag in the tray deuce and you throw it outside the car, it doesn't spark when it goes across the street.
That's right.
That's how the cops get you. They see that gun sparking, and then they're like, "Oh, gun, gun!"
All right, 6:14. You might not be able to get home.
Shit.
Did you get a flash flood warning yet?
I have not gotten a flash flood warning yet.
Man, you might have to drive a Toyota to be safe.
Toyota's not high enough.
It's got that crawl control.
It does have crawl control.